Welcome back to another episode of Red Titan, everyone. In today's episode, the user asked the question, lawyers of Reddit. At what point when working for a defendant did you realize, my client is a monster? And here are the answers. Oh, I could share a good story. I had a teacher in high school who was a former lawyer. We always asked him why he gave up his practice to start teaching. He finally caved and explained that his last case was the defense of 3 people. Apparently, there had been a fourth. It was 2 couples who, in the act of a drunken, drugged out orgy, decided to kill, partially eat, and dismember one of the women. I guess it seemed like a good idea at the time. As a lawyer, he said it was pretty open and shut, but he had to get his clients the best results possible, and he was exposed to all the horrid details, the pictures, and the reasoning. My teacher had such a far-off look when he explained it, that we could see it really got to him. A lot of years ago, I used to work as a solicitor representative. Cases go to Crown Court, barristers' deals, and I'm there for paperwork, additional stuff with clients, etc. 70-something-year-old man had been in jail for 15 years for assaulting a child. Solicitor and barrister working on got him released due to him getting clean reports from just about everyone. Guards took him out of jail to a dentist. As he entered the waiting room, he saw 2 children and ran straight at them. Guards stopped him. 3 weeks later at court, I was the one that sat him down in a room to explain that no, this isn't a hearing to release you. It is so you can be committed to a mental health secure facility for the rest of your life. He didn't take that well. I shed no tears. The first week I started at my current criminal defense firm, I was tasked with cataloging the discovery from our client's phone. The phone had multiple, talking around 4,000 videos, photos, text exchange with a woman under 16. Though not all the girls' ages were confirmed, most, if not all, were under the age of legal consent, and many were barely pubescent. Naked and being prostituted over 1 year. He would lure these girls in exchange for drugs. Nothing felt totally bizarre until I came across one video where he was clearly forcing himself upon a literal child who was so high on benzodiazepines, not willingly but rather forced, and choking her in the process. When our firm confronted him, he said he was in love with her and that's why he did it. He would also take these girls to hotels and make them have sex with one another while he taped, but nothing beat what I said above. Pretty horrifying stuff for my first week on the job. My mom is a lawyer. This is the story about how she quit being a public defender. When you're a public defender, you don't get to choose your cases. She got assigned a young man who, with the help of his girlfriend, had gotten a kitten from a free to a good home ad in the paper. They brought it home and gave it to their dog as a chew toy. I think they also filmed it. So yeah, she said she needed a shower after every meeting with him. Canceled her PD contract after the case concluded. I had a client who was accused of domestic violence. Essentially, he threw his girlfriend out of a second-story window. Now he's got a terrible history, but so do a lot of my clients, and his attitude is a little entitled. Also typical. But he also knows the deal and wants a plea deal. So I'm not really prepared when he absolutely refuses the no jail offer from the state. Keep in mind, there were like 5 witnesses. Why? Because they wanted him to pay for her medical bills. Okay, an but whatever, not the worst. What did it was his counteroffer. I ain't paying them bills. Tell them I'll pay for the window. Prosecutor was not happy. Not the client, but my managing partner. The client was a senile 90-year-old man. He wanted to sell land worth a little less than $1 billion to some businessmen. Suffice to say, there were many who wanted to take advantage of the situation. One such person, to my dismay, was our managing partner. The partner wanted to answer a provision that I would effectively funneled about 60% of the proceeds solely to him. You can see how his eyes gleamed at the mere mention of money. The provisions got lost in revisions. I was doing the revisions. I'm no longer part of that scummy firm. I've done a lot of prison legal aid, and I could tell stories about child molesters that would turn you green. But instead, I'll turn you green in a different way. I had a kid, 17, who was mildly cognitively disabled due to brain trauma he sustained at the hands of his birth parents, who ended up really wonderful foster care family and thrived. He was a popular kid in school, good athlete, got a girlfriend, invited her to meet up and be teenagers one night in a corn silo. which I guess is a thing that country kids do. I don't know. This all comes from the pre-sentence investigation report I read before taking his case. But this girl met him at the silo, and they were hanging out inside. By his account, they were having a nice time, and he was really enjoying himself. Then for no particular reason, he picked up a 2x4 and bashed her skull in. He then used a combination of very crude farm implements, shovels, hoes, to chop her body up, buried in the corn, and went home like nothing had happened. Hey, you asked. I'm on the other side, but I've got a defendant who went to prison for starving 3 adopted children to the point that they needed weeks of hospitalization. Then got out of prison and married a guy with children so that she could start starving them too. Listening to her interview where she attempts to justify what she did to both sets of kids disturbed me more than any of the murder cases I've worked on. We had a client try and enforce a post-employment restraint against a 19-year-old receptionist after she quit and started working for a competitor. The reason? He wanted to make her life hell because she wouldn't sleep with him. A creepy 57-year-old man. Him trying to sleep with her was the reason she quit. Unsurprisingly, he didn't take our advice to discontinue his claim, and so we ended up sending him elsewhere. I had a divorce client, husband and father, who disowned his autistic son. Tried to argue that he should get all his wife's retirement, having not worked for 12 years. Contacted me during the height of Hurricane Sandy. He was in the Bronx and me in Manhattan, saying he wanted to hold his wife in contempt for not paying him that day while the storm slammed New York City. Told me I was making a huge mistake getting married. My wedding date was November 3rd, 4 days after Sandy, saying that I was going to be miserable and regret it. I could go on, but the worst was when, several months later, since his divorce was taking a long time, he sent death threat letters to myself and my wife, saying that he had hired an executor to kill the 2 of us if his divorce was finalized in 60 days. Called the police and they said that he left his premises 1 day earlier. I heard nothing from him until February 2014 when he emailed me saying he needed a winter coat from his wife and I could help get it for him. Ironically, the divorce didn't have to be completed because he killed himself before the judge signed the judgment of divorce. Miserable guy who wanted to spread his misery and crossed the line when he threatened to kill my wife. Criminal defense lawyer, I can name a few instances where I was just absolutely disgusted with my client. Caveat, these are mostly years ago when I was talking just an old case. I most practice white collar and federal now. 1. I won a DUI case because the government messed up on something right before the trial was to begin. My client gives me a hug and completely reeks of alcohol. He has driven to court. I took his keys and called his mother. 2. Client was accused of molesting a 12-year-old. He was mid-40s at the time, and I had to shut him down real quick when he tried to tell me how the 12-year-old was coming on to him. 3. I represented a woman for a grand theft charge. Left her in my office to get some things copied before she left. After she left, I realized my sunglasses and car keys were stolen. I tracked her down the lobby and told her I was not going to represent her anymore and I would call the police if she didn't empty her pockets in front of me and give me my things. 4. I had a client who was released after 25 years of prison for murder, and then the same day he beats up his prospective new landlord. He ended up getting another 10 years. He was unrepentant and laughed about how he hit the guy so hard his eyeball popped out. I thought this guy deserved to be in prison. Took the case to trial anyway, and shocker, lost and he got 10, the max. 5. Client who pretended to be a doctor so that he could sell steroids. According to the government, he had numerous clients who were made to believe that his steroids would cure their cancer. They paid him hundreds of thousands of dollars and some of them died. I just thought that was pure evil. Not a lawyer, but worked for a law firm as an investigator. One of our clients stabbed an ex-lover multiple times over $100. Perp then ran out of the house all bloody. Neighbor and her teenager daughter see him covered in blood and rush inside to see if they can help while they call 9/11. Victim is still alive. On the 9/11 call the daughter made, you could hear the mom singing Amazing Grace while she tried to stop the bleeding. You could also hear the victim with the stab wound in her neck gurgling on blood while she tries to sing along. The EMTs arrived in under 3 minutes, but it took the police 19 minutes from the call to show up to clear the scene for them. She lived for 17 minutes. I saw the photos of the scene with the body still in place. It looked like a scene straight from Dexter. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. If you did, please like the video, subscribe for more content coming soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.